Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to another edition of Defining Moment. Next, and I am so delighted that you've joined us today in a very special program. Let me tell you how we got here. And I'm not going to spend too much time meandering. Last week, this program 3 months in advance because of this, and we just want to make sure that we have some sort of a consistent theme, that it is as if I heard an audible voice. I did hear it in my spirit, Lord saying to me, postpone this program, and I want you to have someone on your program that is a professional that can talk about what's going on relative to seasonal depression, clinical depression. Why? Because there's a lot of there's a lot of festivities. There's a lot of excitement in the air. And I tell you what, there's a lot of commercialization this time of year about Thanksgiving, about Christmas, about the New Year's, 50% this off, 80% this off, Black Friday this, Cyber Monday this. I got to get this, I got to get that. Let me go down my list. And sometimes we're so focused on pursuing, pursuing, routines and traditions and rituals. The number one, we lose the essence of why we do what we do. Why are we celebrating it? Because we're so busy in the pursuit. And so there's a lot of excitement around the country. But then, sadly, the Lord says to me, while others are celebrating, there are many, and just as many, that are depressed, that are struggling, that are challenged, and that are having hard times. Hi, I'm Dean from Atlanta, Georgia. Good to see you. Always good to see you. By the way, I texted you yesterday. Text me back. All right. Um, and so many folk wear smiles on the exterior. How are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. How are you doing? Oh, God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. And they're suffering on the outside, or they're suffering on the inside. They're smiling on the outside, high-fiving, God is good all the time God, but on the inside, they're miserable. And then there are others who've hibernated. There are others who have become recluse physically and recluse emotionally. You see them, but on the inside, they have withdrawn themselves from society and socialization. They're either they've either camouflaged themselves in their homes, or they've camouflaged themselves with fakeness. And I even shared this with my guests, that unfortunately they go to people and people shame them into believing something's wrong with you. You're not doing something. You need to have more faith. It's you. So the victim becomes victimized even more. And so you just turn to either withdrawing, substance abuse, or losing hope in society altogether. Just a little footnote. You're also going to want to tune in next week, because next week I am blessed to have on my program a Rabbi Jack Zimmerman. Rabbi Jack Zimmerman. He is a Christian pastor, Christian ordained pastor. Sounds like an oxymoron. And he's a Messianic rabbi. And he's going to be on the program next week. He's coming in from New York. Has programs all across the country and all over the world. He's going to share with us what's going on in the Middle East and how it relates to the Bible, the prophecy of the Bible. A lot of folk don't even understand what's going on. A lot of people deal with it from a surface perspective. But Rabbi Jack Zimmerman, he's going to be in next week, and it's going to be a wonderful time for us to get the truth and the realization of what's going on and these times that we're living in. But Gwendolyn Sanders, who is Chief of Social Work at GV Sonnet Montgomery VA Medical Center in Jackson, Mississippi, is our guest. The Lord says, stop with all of the gifts, stop with all of the hype, because there are people out there on the verge of making permanent decisions regarding their lives. It was something that, if they had resource, cope with it, whether it is seasonal anxiety, whether it is clinical depression. I can't talk about, that's not my profession, but I wanted to have the best person that could talk about that today. I am blessed to have friend Salus, who actually referenced me to Gwendolyn Sanders. So, Ms. Sanders, welcome to Defining Moments.
Thank you, Mr. Nix. Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. So, first of all, you are Chief of Social Work at GV Sonnet Montgomery VA Medical Center. What is that work? What does that mean? What does that entail?
Great question. Social work is everything. Social workers are involved in every aspect of our healthcare system. From the time that a veteran enrolls into the system, as they seek treatment, we are all over the place. We have a presence in primary care. We have a presence in specialty care. We have a great presence in mental health. We have a great presence in care in the community. We have a great presence with our homeless program, with our other social-based programs that keep veterans independent and keep them in their home. So we have a great VHA, the Veterans Health Administrator, is actually the largest employer of professional social workers nationally.
Wow.
So we have a great presence.
I see Dr. Sharon Douglas. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Douglas. She says social work is, with the emphasis on is, everything. I'm afraid that our perspective of the profession of a social worker is so narrow. I want you to continue to give breadth and identity to what that is. You just, from a medical perspective, from a clinical perspective, you just did. Hi, Lisa. Always good to see you. But what is a social worker? Bring it down to a grounds level perspective.
Yes. So a social worker is that individual that a person goes to help them get what they need in life, basically. We listen to them. We tune in to what is needed.
Well, that's a special gift.
Because what is happening is a lot of times the individual doesn't know how to even ask for what they want. And a lot of times they're not even aware that they need certain things. So the social worker tunes in, listens to what they're saying. Oftentimes we have to be their voice and advocate for them, communicate to them, to other healthcare professionals, because we work along with the other members of the healthcare team.
Right.
And so we will interpret what the individual is saying, and then we work with them in getting the assistance that they require, whether it's in our healthcare system, out in the community, wherever. We are their voice. We advocate for them. We listen to them. We just do all of those things.
Angela, thank you for joining us. And you're exactly right. Angela says social workers are miracle workers. And one cannot argue with that, because Jesus says this is a faith-based program. I am a man of faith. And Jesus says we're the seasoning. We're the salt. We're the light. And so rather than begging God, I need you to do this, God says, but I'm giving you help. I'm giving you help in the persons and the professionals of social workers. And you understand that. So there are people, unfortunately, in the faith-based community, not all. So this is a broad swipe comment. There are folk that have been shamed, particularly some church folk have been shamed that something is wrong with you, something is wrong with your faith. You just need to pray more. And I want you to deal with how would you respond to someone to say, well, it's not God, it's just that person that needs more faith. If something is wrong with you, then it is that person. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted for those that are listening. We have a lot of delivery drivers that listen. And for those that are streaming us live, I'm delighted to have Gwendolyn Sanders, VA Medical Center, on my program today. Stay tuned. We'll be back. So what would you say to that? For those that, well, because what we do is we victimize them even more and we turn them into recluse because they're like, man, maybe something is wrong with me. How do you respond to that?
So the way I would respond to that is to say that we're all individuals.
Mm-hmm.
We all have unique issues that we bring that come to us in this life. No one is immune from problems. And we certainly can't shame someone and say, have more faith, because sometimes situations come upon us that has nothing to do with our faith. They may be situations that are imposed by the environment. There may be situations that are imposed from a healthcare perspective. There may be situations that are imposed from just not having what you need, and you find yourself in a certain situation. So you cannot just say the person doesn't have enough faith, because sometimes people don't know when they lose faith, they don't know how to regain it or get it back. So it's not their fault. So we have to be able to let people know that it's okay. Everyone is going to go through challenges in life.
So going through challenges, going through seasons of challenges, you're saying is normal?
Yes.
Going through hard times, going through the fiery furnace, going through being let down and disappointed is normal?
It is. It is. It's a normal life circumstance, but it's how you deal with that.
That's good.
It's
How
how
you deal
you
with it.
get through it. It's not what happens, but it's how you deal with it and what you do to get through it.
So how did you get here? How did you get to this place? Now, when I say, okay, I don't want to talk about, well, how did they interview you and the interviewing process? How did you get here? Because I believe that God put special kinds of hearts in social workers, like teachers. You have to have you're not in this to make zillions of dollars. You're in this because God can trust you with his heart. I want you to ask that question. Thank you for those that are joining us. All of you that are joining us, I want you to continue to give your comments and even ask questions. I see that you've streamed us. Thank you for all of you that have joined us. And it is a very serious matter. It is one that should not only be discussed this time of year, but all throughout the year. Welcome back to Defining Moments. I'm your host, Larry Nix, and I'm grateful for those of you that listen to us via your radio station, or you're at work and you're streaming us. You let us know in the community. We have a lot of delivery drivers. When I'm in the marketplace, you tell me. Even when I was traveling out of town, not long ago, I had a TSA worker at the hospital, not at the hospital, a TSA worker at the airport say, you're the guy who does the program. Well, who's going to do the program tomorrow? I said, well, I'll be back. And it was a turnaround trip for me. So she said to me, she really blessed me. She said, your program is very encouraging, is very inspiring. And said, boy, you've been all up in my business. And I said, and my response was, it's not the fact that I'm in your business, but the Holy Spirit knows exactly what you need to hear. And for those that are tuning in, then you need to be here today. And my goal is, my outcome is that you will be encouraged, you will be inspired, and even necessarily challenged, that you will embrace the purpose that you have of you. I said, Lord, you want this program? Then give me a reference. I had an opportunity to speak with a dear friend, Dr. Sharon Douglas, and she said, boy, listen, this is the person. So I look forward to having Dr. Sharon Douglas and Gwendolyn back on the program, having both of you that we can have an expanded time to talk about subject matters like clinical depression, social anxiety, seasonal anxiety, and even end of life emotions. How do you deal with that emotion? How do you deal with those emotions? Because I've seen, unfortunately, I've gone in the conference room with families when they've had to get conference with doctors, and boy, they've been brutalized. And which is neither good because you're always dealing with a lot of kinds of emotions anyway. But I was talking about people saying that, well, is there something wrong with me, Gwendolyn? The fact that I find myself sad all the time, or I'm going through, emotions that I can't even understand. Maybe God built me in an inferior kind of way. There must be something wrong with me.
And my response to that is there's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong. You're just going through life's challenges. Life is very complex, and we deal with things on a daily basis.
Stop right there. Thank you. There's someone right now, and you just hit it, because they thought it was something wrong with them. There are people at all different levels of life, and money doesn't fix it. Big house doesn't fix it. Many cars, private schools, social organizations, fraternal organizations, it can't fix it. And there's someone that just got blessed. I want you to look, what you just said to me, I want you to look at them. And I want you to encourage them because they have thought and they've been told by their spouse, by their employer, or even by their parishioners, something is wrong with you.
There is nothing wrong with you. You are just going through seasons in life where you have challenges. And in seasons, they change. We change. As I was saying, life is very complex, and we have to figure out where we're going. Oftentimes, we don't know. So, there is nothing wrong with you. The only thing you need is just the encouragement and belief in yourself and know that you can get through the season, whatever it is.
Now, I know that you're going to talk about this from a deeper perspective because I want you to define for me the terminology. What does it mean to have seasonal anxiety? What is the difference between seasonal anxiety? I only feel this level of overwhelming anxiety during this time of year, and probably in February it'll go away. All right. But it just seems like I feel this all of this pressure on me during the holidays. What's the difference in that? And what's the difference in seasonal anxiety and clinical depression? Because those are very two different things.
They are. Seasonal anxiety is just what it's implying. It's limited to certain times, and it's based on a specific life event or crisis that maybe you have experienced at that point in time in your life, and you're reflecting back on that. So it may be the death of a loved one that happened during a particular season, and you're dealing with that. And you're triggered by just remembering that, and
Right.
you're overwhelmed. So that's the seasonal part of it. And it's not something that's permanent because you work on that and you come in and out of that and you do what you need to get through it. When we look at clinical depression, it's totally different because it is a prolonged event that you're going through, and you're basically, it's a depression is a mood disorder. So when we talk about moods, you think about the different moods that you might be in.
Depression is a mood disorder.
It is.
Okay.
It is. It is a mood disorder, and clinical depression, it affects you for a prolonged period of time in all the different areas of your life. It can affect you. It can have a profound impact occupationally, socially. It can have a profound impact on your spiritual life, on your mental health. Um, Everything is affected. Your diet might be affected by it. Your sleep may be affected by it. You talked about social isolation. That's a piece of it too, because the clinical depressed person, they've been in this place for so long that oftentimes they don't recognize what's happening to them. Although they've withdrawn and they're not the people that they used to be, they don't recognize that, but other people around them may recognize that. And once they get into that state, it is very hard to get out of it. And you need the professional help to assist you with getting out of that.
Well, I tell you what, Debbie, you're exactly right. Debbie says social workers help us get through those challenges.
Yes.
The wonderful thing that I like about the 23rd book of Psalms, David says, yea, though I walk through, not to, and I'm going to stay there. I'm not going to camp out there. So just that information suggests to me that God has created and has placed in the heart of people, certain people, this gift of loving people, whether clinically or therapeutically, through the process, so they don't have to suffer alone. They're people. And so, but you got to deal with being embarrassed. You got to deal with that, because that doesn't help. And the way you deal with that is for you to understand that all of us, there's not a person born, there's not a person alive that don't face challenges. We all face them and deal with them at various degrees, but we all have challenges, right?
Yes, we do. We all have challenges, and you're correct. We have to learn how to overcome those challenges. And it's not as simple as saying,
Just
just
pray
go
about
to
it.
bed, pray
Just pray about it.
just
Drink
pray about
2
it.
glasses of water.
Yes, and you'll be okay. Go to bed, go to sleep. When you wake up in the morning, it will be okay. But guess what? When you wake up in the morning, it's still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. So that's when you need someone to help you go through it and talk about what's happening to you. One of the big things, misconceptions that has gone on is therapy. There's a weakness for people to seek therapy. The idea of that for some cultures and for some communities, people are seen as weak if they go out and seek therapy.
Particularly men.
Yes.
I mean, men are not supposed to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Men are not supposed to show emotions. Men are not supposed to display love and passion. Who told us that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it was a societal thing. It goes back to how people were raised and the expectations. And I always tell people, just because you were raised a certain way, the way your family did things, it doesn't mean that you have to follow that path as you become an adult.
So listen, there are those, and I'm not going to waste this time and resources. There are those who, and you're exactly right, LaShondra. We have an awesome guest today, and in the person of Gwendolyn Sanders. Are there resources out there for right now? There are people that are on the edge of the cliff right now, and I'm going to ask my executive producer if he'll put it up. There are people that are in the cliff right now, and God wanted you to hear this program today. God wanted you to live stream this program today because He does not want you jumping off of that cliff, figuratively or literally. God interrupted my flow of program that belongs to Him because He loves you, and there is help. And Gwendolyn Sanders was assigned you today. What is that? What is that?
So resources. In the VA system, we have a full complement of services, including mental health services. And we tailor those services for each individual.
I want you to hold that thought. Boy, this is such a blessing. By the way, for those that are live streaming, you see information, VA information on your screen. You're exactly right, Lisa. Thank you for tuning in. It's a topic that deserves conversation. Stay tuned. More of Defining Moments, and my guest, Gwendolyn Sanders, will be back. So let's talk specifically a little bit more about resources that are available. Okay, because people are in dire need. Some people are in denial. All right, and they've been bullied into thinking something wrong with you. Just drink some wine, eat some chocolate, go to your favorite store, and I just need to shop and buy my favorite dress, and that'll make me feel better. That's going to get you more depressed because you're drunk, all right,
Yes.
and you're bloated,
Mm-hmm.
and you've gone into debt. All right.
Yes. So there are many resources out there. So let's start with our veterans who are listening to this program. If you are a veteran, And if you're not enrolled in the VA health system, it's okay. You can always become enrolled. And we can always assist you with services. So, as I was saying earlier, we have services that we tailor to specifically to each area that you're needing help in.
It's not a cookie cutter.
It's not.
It's not one size fit all.
It's not.
Counseling and therapy is not one size fit all.
Correct.
And I think that's the misconception. Is I'm going to come in and they're just gonna cattle me through like anybody else. Hold that thought. Yeah, boy, I tell you what. Thank you for all of those that are listening and tuning in live. Boy, this is some hard stuff I'm reading, but it's real. And thank you for responding. I want you also to tune in next week. We're going to have a Jewish rabbi. He's a Christian ordained minister, and he's going to talk about what's going on in the Middle East and how it affects us where we are at our particular individual zip codes. It's going to be a delightful program next week. He's flying in from New York, and he's going to be with us, and you'll be blessed by it. You're exactly right, Debbie. We've been taught what goes on in our house need to stay in our house, because people look at us as leaders in the community, and they've categorized us, and they've thought of us a certain way, and we need to live under that assumption that we are, but we're just adding more pressure, we're just passing it on generationally, and we're teaching our children just put on a false face and live with it, and they're miserable inside.
Yes, we are. And
well, we're talking about resources. VA.
Resources, yes. So resources, as I was stating, for the VA, we have a full complement of mental health services. There is information on the screen. You can contact Sharita Young, who is the Associate Chief of Staff for Mental Health. She can assist with getting appointments set up. We have in-person appointments available for veterans as well as virtual appointments. If you don't feel like driving to the medical center, we can see you virtually. We have a team of clinicians that are ready to help in all the different areas. The other unique thing about the VA, in addition to our main campus on Woodrow Wilson Avenue,
that's in Jackson, Mississippi. And yes. I know there are those of you, because we get people that stream us. This is not a narcissistic statement, but we get people who stream us from all over the country, from Illinois to Georgia to California to Tennessee to Missouri to Florida, to Michigan. Even we have several streamers out of the UK. So for those that can't get to Jackson,
they can go. A veteran can go to any VA medical center throughout the United States. Okay. And seek assistance.
Okay.
And each medical center has affiliated community-based outpatient clinics for the areas that aren't assisted in the main area, the city area, right. Basically the rural areas right. are the community-based outpatient clinics. So right. a veteran can go to any of those places.
But if I'm not a veteran?
If you're not a veteran in this community in Jackson, Mississippi, one of the resources that I found is the Hines Behavioral Health System.
Right.
They have a very comprehensive healthcare system as well. They also have a 24/7 crisis unit for mental health purposes. So they will come to you, they will assist you, and we put that information for anyone to be able to access. In addition to that, your primary care provider. If you're enrolled in any healthcare system, you can go to your primary care provider and you can seek mental health services, and they will assist you with those services. The stigma with mental health services has gotten a lot better. Healthcare systems are more comprehensive now. They are offering the services, and you can go and seek those services, so you don't have to suffer in silence.
Boy, Eric just said we have to normalize mental health care. We have no problems referring people to cardiologists or neurologists, but mental health is sometimes looked at differently. Wow, now that's a mouthful. You're exactly right. Well, I'm having high blood pressure problem. Well, go to this. Heart. Well, go to this problem. But boy, what a statement! What a statement! But it's a part of health care. Health care. Mental, not just physically, not just physical, but mental as well.
It is. We are, when I said earlier that we are complex individuals, there are many different things that impact us: our physical health, our spiritual health, socially. Mental health is just a piece of that. And in order to be balanced, we have to achieve this balance in life. All of those things have to be in check. So we can't just focus on the physical health. We also have to focus on the mental health.
And a social worker or a therapist will help you identify why what it is.
Yes.
What it is because if you're snapping off every day at the cat and the dog, and if you're just mean every day, there's something going on. I mean, 365 days, nothing is right. You're complaining, or you're moody, and I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna be insensitive to this, but if you're just blasting at everybody, cursing everybody out, being obnoxious, chances are it's something going on the inside.
Yes, there is. And the big part of that is awareness.
Awareness.
As
That's good.
individuals, we have to have a level of awareness to know that there is something off kilter or there's something that needs to be fixed. And in addition to the awareness, you have to be able to listen. Listen to your family, listen to your friends, listen to your church members, listen to your community, because they know you and they
That's
know
good.
how you normally are. And if they will notice some things that are sort of out of sorts with you, that's what you want to listen to help you seek the help that you need.
So number one, you differentiated between seasonal anxiety and clinical depression. Let's review that again. What is seasonal anxiety?
Seasonal anxiety is just what it says. It is um, focused on a particular season in your life that is based around a crisis or a life event that's happening with you. It could have happened last season around Christmas time. You could have dealt with an extremely sensitive crisis, a family crisis, that you're still every year, something triggers that and you're dealing with it. If you haven't actually dealt with it and spent time to figure out exactly what it
Wow.
is and to be okay with that and work through it, it's going to keep coming back.
So the remedy is not to ignore it.
Correct.
The remedy is not to ignore it, because in actuality, what happens, you compound it, because it's coming back next year.
Mm-hmm.
If it's seasonal anxiety, if you didn't deal with it, it's coming back next year.
Yes, it's coming back next year. And you may see yourself overeating, or you may see yourself sleeping a lot,
Yeah.
or withdrawing. So you want to address it. You need to address it.
So how can I address? How can I'm talking to you as a social worker? Can you give me some tips how to address seasonal anxiety?
Yes. So with some tips on doing that is, like I said, first of all, is just being aware that it's there and going.
Don't be in denial.
Don't be in denial, and going above to do things. Um, Oftentimes, people will stay in the house and not seek friends or family members. Sometimes you have to force yourself to get out of the bed, because
good.
if you don't, you're going to stay there in that same place.
Yeah.
So going out socially, talking to people, opening up. You may want to exercise. Some people, for their thoughts, they journal things down and they talk about and they review what's happened in their day, and
Yeah.
they talk about those things.
Yeah.
Some people meditate.
Yeah.
There are many things. Some people walk. Some people run. Whatever it
Healthy habit,
is,
yeah.
yes,
Break the cycle.
to help you break the cycle.
So my sister is a I don't know if this is the official title, but she's retired, just retired a couple of years ago. She's a master social worker.
Mm-hmm.
She lives in Illinois, and I was talking to her, and she says sometimes we should celebrate if a person just stay in bed, and if they linger in bed, we need to celebrate the fact if they were only able to get out of bed that day. We need to celebrate the fact that they were able to get out of bed that day,
Yes,
because that's breaking
the cycle.
the cycle.
It is. And that's a great point, because it doesn't matter how much you do, it's what you do.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So whatever amount of time you can spend to break the cycle, do it.
Whether it is walking,
Yes.
whether it is taking a shower,
Yes.
whether it is putting
Getting
on,
dressed.
getting dressed,
Mm-hmm.
not mammoth, gigantic steps, but take little steps.
Yes.
But make sure, what I hear you saying is make sure that you're consistent
Yes.
with those steps. You get out of bed today, get out of bed tomorrow.
Yes.
If you go outside today, go outside tomorrow.
Yes.
If you go to the grocery store today, go to the grocery store tomorrow. And it's not necessarily the fact that you're going to the grocery store, the market to buy things.
Yes.
But what I heard you saying is that you're getting amongst people.
You are. You're getting people. You're letting go of that depression that has been cloaked on your back, and you're learning how to say, I recognize that I have some problems, but I'm going to move forward.
Yeah. And your business is your business, which, because sometimes people don't go out in the community because like they're going to get 1,000 questions. Where you been? But what are you doing?
Yes.
What's your shoe size? Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. I'm with my delightful guest, Gwendolyn Sanders, Chief of Social Work at VA Medical Center in Jackson, Mississippi. We'll be right back. So for people who are fearful or intimidated with that, they've been in the house for 3 months, and boy, COVID really did. It just exposed some problems that we were having. It just compounded the problems. Okay, but there are people that I know are watching because I'm asking this question. Say, well, I don't even want to go out in public because I know I'm going to meet people, and people I may know. If I see them, they're like, well, where you been? Well, what you doing? Where you work? How's your mama? How's your daddy? Well, I ain't seen you. And they don't even want to deal with that. So they just stay inside. So how would you encourage them?
Yes. I would encourage them by saying, first of all, people are going to be people. We can't stop people from asking those sometimes insensitive questions.
Wow.
But what we can do is encourage ourselves and know that we can get through them. If you find something, if you say something to me that's insensitive, then I'm not obligated to answer you back. Or I might just smile and wave and keep moving on. It's your choice. You don't have to feel like someone is putting you on the spot or feel like you have to answer a question. You have to remember the goal. The goal is you're getting out. And you're opening up.
Yeah.
And you can't lose sight of that. Because unfortunately, like I said, sometimes individuals will be insensitive.
Yeah.
And they may not even mean to do it because they don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But you have to just have your mind on a goal and say, this is what I'm doing.
Take your mind off of their reaction.
Yes.
And stay focused on your intent.
Correct.
Your intent is to go among people, to socialize, to have that human touch.
Yes.
And if you only go out for 5 minutes that day, 10 seconds, then good for you.
Yes, exactly.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Boy, this is good information. Wow. Welcome back to Defining Moments. I'm your host, Larry Nix, and I am with Kimberly, I was reading Kimberly. Kimberly Moore. Thank you. The interview is amazing because of my guest. I'm inquisitive too, because sometimes the reason that people engage this program is because they're going to get the truth. I'm not going to talk over their head, and I use me an example. And they leave saying, boy, he was exposed. He was transparent. So I take comfort in the credibility of this program. Because sometimes I get in a funk. Now, that's an Ebonic description of I just get in a foul mood sometimes. But I understand. And my therapy used to be eating. That was my crutch. I was frustrated. I had a lot of anxiety because of my profession. And I would just snack all the time. Well, I still snack. But my wife has remedied that problem. I have a wonderful, beautiful wife. She said, rather than you snacking on potato chips and candy, I'm going to put fruit in the house. So, man, I destroy some fruit. I destroy some pears and apples in the house because I just walk by and rather me grabbing candy or potato chips, I'll grab a pear. You know,
Yeah.
so but I understand what it is. You know, and I I snack more when it seems like I have more pressure on me. And my daughter asked me, she said, "Dad, how do you deal with stress?" I said, "Everything. I seem like I have 99 things to deal with that day. All right, and if I think about it, I become more stressful. But I've learned to deal with them one at a time.
Yes.
And by the end of the day, I look back and say, man, I was able to accomplish 80 of those things, and 19 of those things, I'll just put them in tomorrow, or I'll just deal with it the best way that I can."
Mm-hmm.
So the reality I hear you saying is that there's no magic wand, there's no cookie cutter, and there's no dance. Put your finger on your head and turn around 7 times, and you'll be okay.
There isn't. The main thing is you have to be, when I talked about awareness, and you have to be open and listening, but you have to be committed to working through this process.
That's good. That's
the
good.
Commitment.
The key is commitment.
Yes.
So now let's talk about now that's seasonal anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's cyclical.
Yes.
It comes, it may go, but you've got to be honest with yourself.
Yes.
You can't be dismissive
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to come, and if you don't deal with it, then it's going to come. It may come with a little bit more vengeance next time because it's had time to pick up more cousins and a lot of obstruction, and it comes with a vengeance. So do some healthy things. Commit to being consistent.
Yes.
Take it bite-sized pieces,
Mm-hmm.
not all at one time. Don't eat the elephant at one time. Eat it in bite-sized pieces, according to what's comfortable for you. Seek help, whether it's a friend that you trust. My sister told me years ago, she said it's important that you not only know who you love, but who loves you. Because people who love you are willing to walk alongside of you. They're willing to stay in the foxhole with you, and they're willing to tell you the truth, what you need to hear, as opposed to what you want to hear. So now let's talk about clinical depression,
Yes.
which can be very hard.
Yes. The clinical depression is the prolonged depression. You've been in this depression for months. You've been in it. Some people stay in it for years, where they're in a place where they are stagnant and they can't move out of that place. You talked about, we talked about the cyclical, the seasonal, the anxiety and depression, where you're able to get through and motivate yourself. But the clinical depression, you're stuck in this place and you can't get out of bed. You're helpless.
What is that? What I use that terminology, but what does that mean? Is there something going on in my brain?
It could be. It could be. Generally, people that are in those places, they need more than just a therapist. In those cases, that's when you have to get your medical doctor involved and a psychiatrist at some point, because medication management, along with psychotherapy, are ways to break that cycle. And you may experience that, and like I said, you may have been in that place for years, but working through it, that also takes
Well, now
commitment.
you just said something that tipped a response in my brain that I want to respond back to you because it's a stigma. You use that word psychiatrist. Oh, you crazy? Because that for unlearned people, that's their response. Psychiatrist. Oh, you crazy? And now what you've done is victimize me even more. What you've done is push me in the corner even more. Now you've shamed me. Now, rather than getting help and seeking help so that I can become better and more productive, all right, and cope. Now you're right. Maybe something's wrong with me. God, why did you create me this way?
And again, I would say to that, there is nothing wrong with the way God created you.
Talk.
A psychiatrist is just like a social worker. The difference is the psychiatrist is a medical doctor that specializes in mental health. The psychiatrist will come up with the treatment plan
That's
you
good.
need
That's good.
to give you the medication that may help you. You may not need medication, but you might. And if you
Okay.
do,
Okay. All right. Look at that person. Because I said, boy, you're all up in their post office box today. I want you to talk to that person because that person feels doomed and irredeemable. I want you to encourage them.
you are not doomed. You're not irredeemable.
Woo.
You are not broken. You just need help. You need help. And the amount of help, there are different levels of help that's needed. The amount of help that you need, it's just not as simple as talking to someone. There may be uh, some type of medication there that can help you break through the cycle and get you to the point. When I talked earlier about awareness, oftentimes you may not even be aware of what you're doing or how it's impacting you. Other people can see it, but you may not be able to see it. But the medication, if it's needed, if it's warranted, it can help you break through that fog, so to speak, and get you to where you need to be.
And this I've said, you know, when take a long story, and I'm not being insensitive. I'm, ask the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit executive produced this program. This man was in a low-lying area. This is a story that I've told many times from speaking. Man was in this low-lying area. It started raining. He was in a flood zone, and his friend said, "Man, it's going to flood in your area." He said, "Listen, I'll be all right. God is going to take care of me." It started raining. The rain rose above the porch. A friend came to him in a boat. Said, "Man, you need to jump in this boat. It's going to flood this area, and something's going to happen to you." He said, "No, God will take care of me." The water rose up to the roof level. The man was on the roof, and a friend came in a helicopter and said, "Man, you need to jump in this helicopter because it's going to flood and it's going to hit your roof line." The man said, "No, God is going to take care of me. He'll provide." Well, it rained even the more. The man couldn't swim. He drowned, but he was disturbed that he died such a tragic death. He asked the Lord when he got to heaven, "Why did I die such a tragic death? I thought that you said that if I follow you, you'll take care of me. I thought that if I followed you, you would give me assistance." The Lord said, "I did 3 different times, and you ignored them." So what you're saying is that God has blessed us with social workers. God has blessed us with psychiatrists. And even for some to hear this, they'll take odds with me spiritually, scripturally, but I can defend it. God has even given us medication to help mitigate, to help us cope. Now, I didn't say the abuse of it, all right, but God has given us professionals who can walk alongside of us, and that will, thank you, Holy Spirit, that will place in our health plan medication to help us walk through this.
Yes.
So we shouldn't look at a psychiatrist or even medication as the boogeyman.
No, we shouldn't. We should embrace it and know that it is recommended to help us get back to where we need to be. And it may not be a situation where you have to take it, a lifetime medication that you have to take. It could be a specific time, but you have to know for you, and it's there to help you.
And what you saying is that people need to hear this. And out of everything you said, I heard you say, 10 seconds down. It's okay. It's okay. I want you to look at them and tell them it's okay.
It's okay. It's all right.
Austin, put
You will
the
be
camera
okay.
on me. It's okay.
You've got it.
You've got it. It's
Just
okay.
trust and believe and know that it's okay.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. My guest, Gwendolyn Sanders, on Defining Moments. You're right, Miss Jones. God is sovereign. He can do everything. He's aware of everything. And he's even aware of those that are listening and those that are tuning in, watching. He is so in love with you that he had me to call Dr. Sharon Douglas. And she said, "I have the perfect person, Gwendolyn Sanders." because he loved you just that much. So you're not forgotten and you're cared for. Stay tuned. So if you had the mic, and you do, but if you had the mic and it was plugged into every person in the world, because you know, our world seems to be angry now. People are angry at one another. You know, people are upset. People are hollering at one another. People are accusing one another. People are suspecting of one another. People are just angry. Black folk are angry at white folk. White folk are angry at black folk. Republicans don't like Democrats. Democrats call the Republicans demons and devils. Libertarians don't trust the Freedom Party. Freedom Party accuse the Tea Party. Fraternities at each other. Governors at each other. Everybody's accusing the president. Everybody's accusing the governor. Everybody's accusing the dog catcher. Everybody's angry. And what they really don't understand, and how arrogant for me to say that, the effect that it is taking on mental health. What would you say to that? What would you say to people right now about how you live and what you do and what you are and the decisions you make an impactful impact on your mental health?
Well, that's a great question. I read in my daily devotional yesterday that the average person makes over 3,500 decisions in one single day.
Wow. Wow.
That's from the time you get up until the time you go to bed. And many decisions we make are unconscious because we make them. We don't know why we do it, but we do. But you have to be purposeful. When we talk about mental health, you have to be purposeful in the decisions that you make and the things that you decide to do. In mental health, we talk about goals. We talk about the individual making goals and reaching goals. And that's something that your social worker or your psychologist or your psychiatrist or your mental health nurse practitioner, all of us work on helping the individual to establish these particular goals that you have for yourself. And the decisions that you make are in line with those goals. So when I talk about being purposeful, you have to decide whatever it is, the end goal that you reach, how are you going to get there?
That's good.
And you work on figuring that out. And it's not a decision that your healthcare provider makes. It's something that you make, but it's a shared goal.
So you don't give the totality. You don't walk in and say, I'm broken, fix me.
No, I don't. There is a slogan from my school of social work that I matriculated from. Our Southern University at New Orleans. And our slogan was advocacy, empowerment, and transformation.
Say that again.
Advocacy.
What does that mean?
Advocacy means being able to speak for the individual and talk for them.
Good.
Being able to find their voice.
Got it. That's good.
Empowerment are the tools that you give someone.
Wow.
When you're working with them, and they get to the point where they're okay and they know that with these tools that they have, they can use those to change their lives. Then the transformation takes place, and the transformation can be wonderful.
Ooh, you just gave me chills.
Because that transformation, you go back to the part where you didn't have a voice, and you look at where you are now, and you move forward in that.
And I think people, and I want you to look at them again, boy, they just have such a sweet, you're sweet out there. I just want to let you know you're precious to the Lord. And I know that Gwendolyn. She is being a blessing to you. You're right, Tamara. Tamara said, God thought enough of, I'm paraphrasing what she said. She said, the Lord thought enough about of doctors that he made one of his disciples. His name is Luke, and so I thought, you're exactly right. Um, but there are those that have lost courage to fight. They've lost courage to try, and their voice has been taken from them because they've been ostracized, they've been humiliated, they've been told that they're worthless, something is wrong with them, they just need to pray more. And what you're saying, that a social worker or a psychiatrist help them. Woo, thank you, Lord. Help them regain the individual fingerprint of their voice.
Yes. Your voice is there. You just may have lost it temporarily where you can't find it or you don't know how to find it. But the key is to be committed, tune in, and know that you can get back to where you were.
So once again, I'm going to ask my executive producer, will he put that information up again? There are resources available. All
Yes.
right. And some of the resources are?
Some of the resources are for veterans. You can receive help at any VA medical center in the country. VA is more than capable. We have trained individuals who know how to speak with veterans, who know how to help them. You can go to any VA healthcare system. If you're a non-veteran,
Yeah.
you can go to your community. Just Google community mental health services, and a plethora of resources will come up. You can also go to your primary care provider, and you can ask for help.
So what you're saying, in essence, the first step is to swallow the lump in your throat
Yes.
and realize I have value, I have purpose, and I owe it to myself to be healthy.
Yeah.
Listen, you hadn't seen anything yet. You just wait in about another week. You're going to be bombarded with health loss gym programs. Join this gym, buy this weight loss plan, buy this weight loss program. I'm not going to mention names, just watch and see. I was in broadcasting, television broadcasting for over 20 years. I know how it works. All right. I wrote some of the commercials for it. But just wait. But you're saying, yeah, it's important to be healthy physically, but as much, if not even more, it's important to be healthy mentally. And the way to do that is to be willing to make the commitment that I need help and nothing is wrong with me. In the last minute, what would you like to give as a gift to those that are watching and listening?
I just want everyone out there to know that there are many great social workers all over the country. There are many great psychiatrists and psychologists. But in medical care, we have a slogan that's called building rapport. But that's building a relationship with someone. So whoever you trust, as you start seeking help, don't be afraid, but make that connection with someone. And that will catapult your healing process because that person is going to be that voice for you and it's going to help you.
And for those that may have maybe 5 or 6 more gifts to give, or they don't think the quality of their giving will be appreciated, and they're about to spend $2,000, $1,500 more dollars and go in debt, which will create more anxiety, what would you offer?
Don't do that. It's not about gifts, it's about the season.
Wow.
And it's about what you need. And you don't need gifts. What we need to do is to be healthy in mind, body, and spirit.
I want to tell you, the Lord thought enough of you for me to rearrange his program and to have Gwendolyn Sanders on. Thank you, Dr. Douglas, for taking my call. We love you, and remember the reason of the season. We want you healthy. We'll see you next week. Tune us next week, and I'm going to have Dr. Douglas, Sharon Douglas, and Gwendolyn back. See you next week on Defining Moments. God bless you.